Hey, this is Vic. I am the producer of Busy Dads Do Sci-Fi. I am also known as Producer Vic. For those of you who are fans of the show, you have probably heard me before. I just want to let you know that you can find out more about Busy Dads Do Sci-Fi and Kevin and George and all that marvelous stuff by going to busydadsdosci-fi.com, or you can give them a follow at Instagram at Busy Dads Do Sci-Fi. Kind of marvelous, isn't it? The way it's all Busy Dads Do Sci-Fi. Oh, which reminds me, you can also email us at busydadsdosci-fi@gmail.com. And, if you want to subscribe to us, we're on iTunes, we're on the Google Play, the Google Podcast. We're also on Spotify, which is kind of amazing. I had to cook up a special deal with them for that. But, maybe drop by, give a subscription, and if you really like us, you could give us a rating or even a review, and hey, that'll keep us all in seltzer and ice cream, which the boys love, And that's all we're trying to do is bring you the best sci-fi podcast delivered by a couple of busy dads, And of course, me doing my part, producing, and being named Vic. Thank you very much.
Busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies do sci-fi.
We're on.
On what? LaCroix?
Yeah. LaCroix.
I'm on LaCroix.
I'm on Arrowhead.
You're on Arrowhead. Well,
changing it up.
Vic has always had a bit more of a preference for me than you.
You think because he gives you the French-sounding one that he likes you more?
Well, it's all about my voice, I think.
No.
No, hold on.
He's giving me the Arrowhead because of my poignancy.
Now, let me ask you something here.
What?
Is LaCroix known as being like a kind of crappy seltzer that a lot of people like?
The rest of the world thinks so.
Oh no,
LaCroix.
Is it like basic?
Yeah.
you wear Uggs, you drink LaCroix?
No. It's more like in the rest of the world, LaCroix is like a Mr. Pibb.
Yeah, like you're not drinking Pellegrino or Perrier, you're drinking LaCroix.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's like new money. Yeah.
Is it? I don't know what that means.
New money
What's
is
new
like
money?
Well, new money is like if you live in Pasadena and somebody you've been there for 100 years and then somebody who made a lot of money in software moves in next door. It's like, oh, new money.
New money.
Like he's not a member of the Hunt Club and
I've got something pretty sci-fi to talk about.
Go for it.
The Blue Bloods, like blue-bloodedness, royalty.
Totally.
You know how you're not supposed to marry the poor?
Mm-hmm.
That's because their blood was actually blue, because it was copper-based, because blue bloods are DNA from the reptilian alien species.
Oh.
Just saying. Saying.
So they're the elites? The blue bloods?
One of them, when you really get into this, there are
But
multiple tribes, multiple presences of ETs out there. But in Montauk Island and Long Island, we've got a time traveling thing going on underneath the ground there, like a la Stranger Things, massively, hours reading about it. One of those wonderful website hits. Boom.
I am willing to bet that if you were to email us at busydadsdosci-fi@gmail.com, Kevin could probably recommend some really good Twitter accounts to follow.
No, I don't even know what Twitter... Man, you can't do Twitter on this. So the reason this guy's not dead who did this tell-all is because he is a timestamp. And on August 12th, every 20 years, like if they kill him, it sets off stuff that that like closes doorways. The Montauk was the project about Phoenix Project was an extension of the Philadelphia experiment, and it's deep. Man.
Wow, man,
so deep. So deep.
See, I love that idea that
it is sci-fi. I'm reading sci-fi, but it's like a living dude.
But it's like a living
saying
dude.
It's absolutely true, and I'm just like, holy shimoly.
I love that idea in certain time travel, and they play with it in Doctor Who a lot. That there are some things that are unalterable because they are fixed points in time. Like it's rippled out too much for it to you now to go back and alter it. You would just create this like universe-ending paradox. So usually this occurs with like a person's death. It has affected too many people in too many instances in which you cannot go back and stop it. It's happened. It's a fixed point. The moon landing, things like this. Like you just can't go back and stop Neil Armstrong from doing that because the damage it would do to time is way worse than any benefit that would come from it.
Well, this is I've listened to Coast to Coast for years. And this was like reading Coast to Coast, and I don't know how I even clicked on this thing, but
you got lost in the rabbit hole there.
It's been great. No, there's tabs open. I'm just reading willy-nilly about. It was a hit about junk DNA, and so the idea that 75% of our DNA is useless is an idea that's known by scientists as junk DNA. But there are people who are on the fringe who believe that there are codes that we're locked out of, and that explains our hybrid heritage and nature. And it's just been barred. It's like you're locked out and you don't know the passcode. But the aliens or whatever, weren't able to erase this junk DNA, this unused DNA. It's crazy. Sci-fi, man.
And this is in Montauk?
Underneath Long Island.
Underneath
for like
Long
12
Island,
miles.
which is where?
Long Island, New York.
New York.
Montauk is the end.
Yeah.
So I think that was another. I was like, I'd been there all summer, right?
So you went to New York.
Yeah, to Long Island.
I
lived in the Hamptons.
Well, I know you
talking about new money, man, baby. I lived in a mansion in the Hamptons.
You know, me and Kevin. You might not know this, but we got our start. We cut our teeth on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Kevin was born in New Jersey. I was born in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And you spent some time living there for a while.
Yeah. Met the Jersey Devil. Another fringe figure.
You met the Jersey Devil?
Yeah. Well, one of them. I think he was the goalie.
There's a few.
He was like the goalie.
No. You're
not
thinking
that.
of. Okay. All right. I met the Jersey Devil.
You mean the 13th son?
Yeah.
Of a hermit lady. Who had a quicksand patch that drowned the little children.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's awesome, man.
Right. He's amazing. He's more of a Cherry Hill area guy. You know, Central Jersey.
Speaking of new money,
right? Oh my God.
I went and saw
Hill.
the Grateful Dead a couple times there at the Meadowlands at Giant Stadium, and I have lost my mind in a house in the Cherry Hill area afterwards. One of those shows.
The Meadowlands is a nice way of calling it, because it's a swamp. I mean, the entire.
The Meadowlands, and it was a pretty firm stadium when I was there.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, it is
the surrounding area.
It's built on marshlands, and it's very. If you ever walk if you were to, I don't know, maybe go see a Trey Anastasio show, and then find yourself walking several miles away.
Anastasio solo?
Yes.
And then walking several miles
away from the stadium in some sort of a state,
yeah.
You will find yourself up to your ankles in muck.
Really?
Yes.
That probably happened to some people that maybe you knew.
It's a friend of mine, yeah.
Why did he get so scared of the Trey Anastasio show? Was he mind-altering drugs?
These things can't be determined with hindsight, even if it is 2020.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter now. But
when you're doing nitrous oxide, another friend told me about this in the Meadowlands parking lot. Unlike the soft, marshy thing, when you pass out from inhaling nitrous oxide, the pavement is very firm.
Very firm.
When you hit your chin off it. Because you're skateboarding, weering a poncho, because that's what you should do when you're doing things that kill blood cells and make you pass out.
Yeah, that would be a parking lot.
That's a parking lot. Firmer.
Yeah, much firmer than the grassy wetlands.
Yeah. We have some wild friends, apparently.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you're going to see shows in New York and New Jersey and the East Coast. Montauk, New York. We talked about New Jersey. So I have. The thing is, we both moved. We both left the East Coast. We both
did we?
Well, in a way,
mean, like not really fleeing.
Well, there was for me there was.
Yeah, that's right, man.
I certainly
that video store is still looking for you, aren't
I
they?
certainly fled several.
Yeah.
One Stop Video in Norwood, New Jersey. If you still exist, which I doubt you do, I'm pretty sure that there's a PNC Bank where you guys used to be. But yes, I do still have that copy of Earth Girls Are Easy.
Do you think maybe you can
Which
find
is Sci-Fi.
the owner and get it back to him?
That I could find the owner?
Yeah.
Well, my mom worked there for a while. I've always kind of fringed
Oh,
the
you
service
think?
under her.
Oh, so Mom, I'm sorry. Can I keep it?
Happened all the time.
What? How many VCR tapes do you have right now, George?
I don't have any currently.
So where's the Earth Girls Are Easy?
Somewhere in the back of my mind.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Actually,
Well, that's another fleeting...
my friend Rob more than likely has it amongst a collection of. I gave him all my VHS when I moved to California. I don't know if this was a gift so much as it was. He every once in a while calls me and tells me thank you so much because it had my full run of the X-Files with the commercials painstakingly edited out of them. Which
Did you stop and pause it? And then,
paused and then played, and I was known for my crackerjack timing when it came to getting back on there.
Why does crackerjack timing sound like maybe it's not as good as it could be?
Crackerjack timing?
Yeah.
That's from picking up the crackerjacks and throwing them in your mouth outside the Meadowlands. So you got to have the crackerjack timing before, John and his big Italian brother smash
Before
you in
you
the face.
flee the Meadowlands.
I'm escaping.
Escaping.
Yeah.
From the Meadowlands.
From the Meadowlands, which are in New Jersey. I'm escaping New Jersey.
Yeah. Escape from New Jersey.
Escape from New Jersey. My dad was a carpenter.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I mean, he's an electrician, but carpentry here and there, and I'm gonna
what
sandwich
do you
in
call a guy who visits prostitutes?
You call him a John.
A John.
Right? Yeah.
Carpenter?
No,
Oh,
no, my dad didn't do that.
No,
to the best of my knowledge.
No, you saying he didn't actually know how to build stuff?
He did know how to build stuff. He taught me.
Oh, he didn't do that.
Things. He didn't do that.
That I thought,
No,
yeah.
no.
Because I was convinced
he
that
still does know how to build stuff.
Yeah.
He now lives in New York. He likes to buy a house that's kind of a fixer-upper and fix it up, carpentry style. Mm-hmm. And, then he, now we're in New York. Now we're in New York.
And he just takes... You know what you can't do this day,
What?
NH? You can't put mines all over a bridge going back and forth between New Jersey and New York.
You could.
You
I
could.
I do wonder if this is maybe perhaps something, given our delicate climate right now, we should not be broadcasting.
About. Well, at least it's not Disney, not horrible stuff. It's
true.
early in the show, though, folks.
Yeah,
we'll
get
get
there.
to some of that stuff later.
We'll get
Thank
there.
you for the letters. I do know we're not the only one who knows about that last stuff we were talking about, and it's good to know we're not alone.
But aren't
Terry?
we? Oh, hey Terry.
Terry.
So, New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fleeing from that place.
Fleeing from it.
Yeah. I love New York, man.
Me too.
Yeah. I had a lot of really, really good times in New York. I remember growing up.
Hey, you know what? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
9/11.
9/11 who?
I thought you'd never fucking forget, George.
Oh,
You know what?
my God.
And you have forgotten. It's
I
the
have.
second time I've asked you that joke on this show.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not burn. Let's not do
We
a
have-
bummer. Let's not do
We
a
have-
bummer 9/11
There are two
episode.
viewers who are laughing right now going, "Oh, I can't believe George fell for it again."
Listeners.
Kevin just hosed you, George.
You know what? We haven't
And he
done
did.
that for the hearing impaired. Let's sign that.
Let's
joke
sign
real-
that one.
Yep.
All right. So, when I was a kid, I'd go into the city all the time. My uncle lived in the East Village, and I loved both the actual city, but more than that, I loved the version of New York that I got from watching movies, most of which took place before
And
I
also
was
in
watching
Hollywood.
them. And also in Hollywood, usually,
Yes.
like usually Vancouver or something like that. But well, like the French Connection,
Yes.
the French Connection depicts New York City, and it's New York City in the 70s, and it's kind of this dank pit. And when I was going into New York, it was around the late 80s, early 90s, into like Rudy Giuliani's run as mayor, when he really pushed the whole like franchise is opening. There's a TGI Fridays now in Times Square, and it's more of a family-friendly Disneyland-like environment. And most of the porn shops and prostitution got pushed
a couple avenues. Yeah.
Got pushed further east and west. And but I always liked. I was watching Jacob's Ladder.
Yes.
And that takes place in New York, and it came out in 1990. And I felt like that was right at that like leverage point before New York really started getting cleaned up, when like you'd be in a subway car and the lights would go off. Every inch of it was covered in graffiti. And now it's like, yeah, it's still a city and dank, but it's a lot nicer than it used to be, man. You know?
Well, everything was worse.
Everything was worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's better now.
Everything is better now. Historically. Like, people, there used to be a bubonic plague.
Yeah.
We don't have that so much anymore.
Those bubons, man, it hit them hard.
They really came at us. They came at us with everything they had. Those bubons.
No, the bubons were the victims.
We showed them
what I was trying to set up.
By giving them that plague.
You bubons.
You
move on, you bubons.
Come here, bubon.
Hey, fuck you, Giuliani. Get out of here, you bubon.
Get out of here, you stinking bubon. You come at me again, I'm giving you some plague.
Yeah.
All right, and they came at us again.
Yeah.
And we showed them the way New York does. We gave them some plague.
Plague was actually a heroin sold in the alphabet letters.
What else would I be talking about?
Yeah, I know. A little envelope with a stamp on it, right?
Oh, I like, yeah.
Those friends of ours.
Little
God,
trademark.
they filled my head with a lot of shit.
They were really, you look back
wild.
now. Bad influence, man. Bad influence.
Alphabet soup, baby.
Alphabet soup.
You know what I'm saying?
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So, we find ourselves in New York at a time in the 80s. Russia, United States. There's all these tensions going on here.
I mean, Rocky IV. I mean, that was some of the most harsh political climate we ever had.
Yeah, I felt that.
That was tense.
I felt that.
Oh, God, that guy was so big.
It was like a...
How are you going to beat him?
How are you going to beat him, Rocky?
Yeah.
Killed Apollo.
This dumb power.
Oh, my God.
Apollo.
Killed him. Do you know that there's a sequel coming out to that?
I don't care, and I do know.
So, Creed 2, which has got
the
guy's
I've seen
son,
the trailer.
and then, Apollo's son, and they're fighting. Yeah, they're doing that. So,
I mean, why wouldn't we?
Yeah, we got nothing left.
No.
It's almost like making a bad sequel to a John Carpenter movie that was really good 10 years later and basing it in a city on the opposite coast.
Well, what about a sequel to what about a remake of a John Carpenter movie that's out right now?
Are you talking about Halloween?
Yeah.
This episode's going to land on Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Praise Boobon.
Boobon, wherever you are.
Boobon.
We just hope that you grant us the power of full-size candy bars.
Oh, man.
And
hey, does South Pasadena got the full-size candy bars?
Kevin, nobody has full-size candy bars anymore, man. You tell me.
Lies. B-Dub got a full-size candy bar 2 years ago for his Enderman costume.
Where?
Eagle Rock.
My God.
The dudes had reserves.
They had reserves.
They were given regular size, and only certain people earned full size, and the dudes were like, give him a full size. He goes in, reaches his hand in the door, pulls out a full size, and drops it in his
he
bag.
walks up with his Minecraft
with an
costume
Enderman,
on,
yeah.
and some
and
Eagle
full size
Rock.
Butterfinger, I remember distinctly.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Good on B-Dub, man.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I feel like, 50% of what you get is like those, like little chocolita candies that they're terrible.
Trash candy.
Trash candy.
South Pasadena doesn't go out like that, do they?
And South Pasadena is good. It's mostly, but I mean, it's fun size. Because now the shitty candy bars are like the little squares where you get a Snickers, but it's like tiny.
Yeah, the cube. It's a
cube. It's a fucking cube.
Yeah,
don't try and
you
pass
eat
that
like
off of
6
me.
of those and make like a Frankenbar.
So what you get in South Pass is a lot of like the half candy bars.
Yeah.
And which I'm fine with.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, out here in Los Angeles, we have Destination Trick-or-treating.
Yes.
You would not just go out your door necessarily and do your neighborhood. You, like hundreds others in many different locations in LA, would go to a place that's known for, say, the chance of getting a full-size candy bar.
Yeah.
Or at least really cool, beautiful streets that aren't covered in trash.
Yeah, people
full
travel
of Johns and dirty condoms and
people travel from like New York in the 80s.
yeah.
You know.
What if? Can you imagine if New York was turned into a jail?
Well,
The whole island?
would they still have to go trick or treating in there? You think, or do you think
The whole
that they
thing's
could,
a trick or treat. They're all dressed like punk
they're all
rockers.
dressed like
Hey, give him a mohawk. Now put some grease paint on his face. Stick it. Yeah. Hey man, we live in the city. You're gonna die.
if they were to wall up New York City, and there'd be no way out.
I thought that when you wall up the banks at the New Jersey side,
Well, what would you know? You
were there walls on both sides?
there are walls on both sides. Well, it's Manhattan.
So is it hard to
Manhattan's
escape
an
from
island.
New York?
To do what now?
To escape from New York.
Oh, Kevin, I think you've done it.
What?
Escape from New York,
Yeah.
everybody. We're talking about Escape from New York by my dad, the Carpenter.
Yep. Yeah. Let's get out of here. The cops are onto us, and I just robbed a hooker. I'm gonna go walking into the Meadowlands. That story's about your dad.
Hey,
isn't
look, here comes Ernest
Yeah.
Borgnine.
I didn't know your dad was a fan of Trey Anastasio's solo work.
He looks kind of like
Solo work.
Solo.
So I've seen Trey Anastasio's solo work. It was a club act.
Oh, no.
A small one. He Meadowlands at the solo?
Meadowlands.
Was this when he had done enough pills and Fish didn't want him?
Fish had broken up,
Oh, yeah.
and he started touring with, like, members of the Dead. And it was like Trey Anastasio and Bob Weir, and then they'd have like Tim Reynolds from Dave Matthews Band come out.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And like just all these, like, it was Trey Anastasio. I think it was called Trey and Friends or something.
Because you know what
that.
I like to do when I don't need to take pills anymore? I go hang out with Bob Weir and do coke.
Yeah, go hang out with Bob Weir. That's the first thing I do.
Hey man, aren't you a little old to do coke? Shut up! I'm trying to sing and not shit my pants.
First thing I do when I'm trying to get off drugs is I call Bob Weir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you're the only member of the Grateful Dead who has managed not to die.
Yeah. Didn't you enable Jerry Garcia for like 30 years? Okay.
Oh,
Jerry, we really don't want
we
you
are-
to do that, but the money is so good.
We are gonna get some letters from some deadheads, man.
Oh
We
man.
are gonna. What is that Mr. Show sketch where the hippie comes up and he's like, "Hey, I don't know about you guys, but I'm taking off," and he's like, "Hey, you know what? At least we can agree on one thing: how much we hate hippies." And they were talking about the Grateful Dead, and he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, you know, when I see the Dead, I feel like I'm seeing my friends play." He's like, "Yeah, I know one thing is that I love when my friends charge me $60 to see him dick around on guitar for 4 hours."
Ah. You know what's worse than seeing the Grateful Dead play?
What's that?
It's watching Sting open up for the Grateful Dead
Ooh.
before you get to see the Grateful Dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're escaping from New York.
Yeah.
Escape from New York, 1981. John Carpenter,
Your father.
my dad.
Yeah.
You know, I am not actually related to John Carpenter. If I were, well, no, I'd probably still be doing this. Yeah.
You'd
But
have an acting career.
I would. What? George Carpenter?
George Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be the American
Ain't
werewolf
no
from
John.
London. But 1981 John Carpenter movie starring Kurt Russell as anti-hero Bob Snake Plissken.
Yeah. B.J. Pliskin.
Yep.
B.J. Pliskin?
B.S. Plissken.
B.S. Pliskin.
BSP. And New York City in 1988 it's decided that's when World War III starts.
Hold on one second.
Something
Listeners,
like that.
can we get a show of hand how many people need this world set up for them?
Do you really? Do you know, like, you're right?
I didn't. So this movie, for me, I would have passed a lie detector saying I'd seen it, but I might as well have had not seen it. It was basically all new to me.
Okay. So, but
So
Wall,
so everyone knows Kurt Russell,
Yeah.
but then it gets dicey. Then it's
Goldie
like, what the
Hawn's-
hell's going on
Goldie
there?
Hawn's husband. You know.
Yeah, Goldie Hawn not in it.
No, not in it though.
Harry
Adrian
Dean
Barbeau,
Stanton
Harry
in
Dean
it.
Stanton in it. A lot of mainstays of Carpenter movies. Adrian Barbeau. What's his name? Tom Atkins.
And Lee.
Doubleday.
No, who's Lee? The guy who sends him on the mission.
Isaac Hayes.
Nope.
That's Tom Atkins.
No, the
guy who sends him on the
the
mission.
guy who makes Snake the offer.
Isn't that Tom Atkins?
Lee,
The
no,
mustache.
the ninja. His name is Lee. God.
I don't remember.
Alexa, name the people who starred in Escape from New York.
Escape from New York stars are Kurt Russell, Jamie Lee Curtis, Isaac Hayes, Ernest Borgnine, and Harry Dean Stanton. For more, check out the Alexa.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis was
Alexa,
not...
what are you going to be for Halloween?
Houston, I heard your question loud and clear. I'm going as an astronaut on our first trip to Mars.
That's pretty funny.
For launch in 3, 2, 1, blast off.
Well, that's what the geniuses over at Amazon are doing.
Wow.
They're
I think they
cooking
know.
up.
I think that thing's listening to it, and they know it's a sci-fi podcast.
That's one of our subscribers right there.
Alexa.
Yeah. Don't say its name. It's going to
Alexa,
endlessly...
I want to buy 15 pizzas.
Okay, see that
Good. So
that
your credit
concerns
card's not
me
hooked up.
because that little beep means that it just did
Purchased
something.
something?
Yeah. That's brief mode. So when we ask it to do something, it just goes boop.
Huh.
So if 15 pizzas show up.
Don't you think it at least would have asked what kind of pizzas? What? It knows your address, right?
What if they're all like pineapple pizzas? So hey, I could eat some pizza. That's fine.
Yeah. For days, I can eat some
days,
pizza.
15 days.
Yeah.
I'll eat pizza now and die. But yeah, they throw a wall. Regardless of what my Amazon dot says, they throw a wall around New York City. Inside that wall is not Jamie Lee Curtis at all. Unless she's that girl
No.
who dies in the beginning.
No, that's I remember her name is something. She is like it's definitely not Jamie.
Yeah, it's not.
She's
Jamie
got like
Lee
a
Curtis.
name like we probably would have known her in '81 as like a new wave singer girl.
Okay.
It's like Randy Savage or something like.
Oh
but
yeah, it's not Randy
Yeah.
Savage.
No.
So Jamie Lee Curtis is Snake Plissken, and
That other guy is like Grandpa Ninja. You know him from ninja movies.
Grandpa Ninja.
He was on it was a primetime ninja show on like ABC, and he was the ninja, and he's an older dude with a mustache. That's him. And
Not Kung Fu. It's not David.
no,
Carradine.
it's like later. It's right there in that American Ninja level. Oh my
I know.
God.
I know.
Showstopper here, and
But
we
anyway,
haven't even got to the
we
good
haven't even gotten
stuff.
to the good stuff yet here,
Oh
people.
my
We're
God,
25
yeah.
minutes in, and we are stuck on Jamie
Lost.
Lee Curtis.
Waiting for when's that pizza?
When's
gonna
that
show
pizza?
up?
I'm hungry, man. So they threw a wall around New York City because New York City's a pit, and it's
The
filled
crime
with
rate
criminals.
has risen 400%.
400%. All right, we're at World War III with the Russians. We got
God.
bigger things to do. We can't be taking care of this welfare state that's New York. You know what? Throw a wall around it. Dump Jamie Lee Curtis, Trey Anastasio, and Bob Weir in there.
yeah.
They can do whatever the hell they want to do, and we don't care. Because outside New York City, we're just peaceful Americans, and we're trying to do our thing here.
So, you bring up a point here. I assumed that New York City was evacuated, then turned into a prison. I don't think they walled in the unlucky.
I agree, but then we get that Cabby is still like, he's not a criminal.
Oh, I thought he would totally was.
He's been a cab driver for 30 years.
Well, how long's the prison been there?
Since like 10 years. Because it's 1997 and the prison
He's
walls
like,
go up in 88.
You know what?
So
I'm
he's like,
saying.
I'm staying.
These guys tip well. And by tip well, they remove only my fingertips.
Yeah, I mean,
one at a
I don't
time.
think they left all the kids and stuff in there and stuff. Like I'm sure they got everyone out of there, and they're just like, we need to do something with all these pedophiles, so let's put a wall around New York City and throw them all in there. And I as a kid, when I first saw this movie, I loved that idea. I thought it was such a cool idea that, like, especially because Manhattan was 20 minutes away from me, and it's like, yeah, they put a big fucking wall around Manhattan Island. You can escape, but like you gotta try and get across the Hudson. We're treated to it early on in the movie, someone trying to escape, and they just blow him out of the water.
Sort of an Alcatraz setup anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, who's gonna
try
and raft across that?
And then, we're in it all of a sudden. The president gets hijacked. Air Force One gets hijacked. He escapes, but he lands in New York. And the Duke of New York picks him up. Isaac Hayes himself.
Chops his finger off.
Sends it out. Who we gonna get to rescue the president? Surely we don't have anybody in the military who is, capable of doing such a thing. So we gotta find a guy who's perfect for this.
Yeah.
Snake Plissken.
Who somehow decided to be a criminal.
He robbed the Federal Reserve, right? That's his.
Right.
There's a director's cut in which they have scenes of him being busted for that. Like they show
really?
him. Yeah, they show him robbing the banks, and it was extraneous and definitely didn't need to be in it. I say that it's extraneous, but this movie, as it is actually kind of thin.
It's quick.
It's quick. It's good in that it's not like heavy-handed or anything like that, but well, I don't know if you can say it's not heavy-handed. It's exactly what it's supposed to be for the time in which it was made.
Yeah. That's where, I get into some, older movies are not as cool because they're not as cool.
Right.
And so, it's, I'm like the cage match scene. Like, of course that would happen.
Yeah, you got to fight our champion. Yeah.
But I don't know. I also know that I don't know enough. That trope could be being used.
But it's also like this idea is only fresh and original early. Like this is kind of like okay, we got a post-apocalyptic situation here. It's New York City, and we've got to get the anti-hero criminal to work with us to do something he doesn't want to do. So we put a bomb in his neck, and he goes and does it, and he finds a way in the end to kind of get the last laugh. And it's just I feel like this whole situation is just like so uninspired now that you got to really look at it with those rose-colored glasses, with that nostalgic filter to kind of go, oh yeah, this is good, this is cool. So I guess already I'm working a little harder to like it again. I feel like I've tried to rewatch this movie several times in the last 10 years, and never made it all the way through, and kind of jumped around a bit. I remember the chase through the streets, and I remember when the Duke of New York is shooting the gun at the president, and I remember those things, so I'm going to see those, but I'm not maintaining the whole haul, whereas there are movies from this time period and way before that I think well withstand the test of time. I don't know if this is generally one of those. It's a good movie, but it's pretty. It's serviceable. It's very John Carpenter.
How's it so culty? Why is it so loved? It's loved, right?
It's loved.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah,
you love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
maybe it's because it's like Snake Plissken, it's so kind of over the top.
Part of me was like, is that just because of things like everyone remembers that poster, man? Everyone remembers Snake Plissken running away from the head of the Statue of Liberty behind him. That image is so ingrained in us that it's a staple of kind of sci-fi knowledge. It's one of those, have you seen this? And you just kind of tick it off your list, and then you're like, okay, yeah, my knowledge is more complete. You've talked before about how some of those books that people would consider to be staples of sci-fi are a little too broad and too serviceable, that they're English
and I think this
class
is a similar
stuff, you
place.
can I feel like every 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kid wanted to see this movie and kind of played Snake Plissken and everything, but never made the deeper dives into things like 2001, Star Trek, like the harder sci-fi stuff. Like people saw this like they
sci-fi
saw
for the masses.
Well, people saw this like they saw Aliens and loved Aliens, but maybe didn't like Alien as much. Like I liked Aliens because Hudson was saying "F you" all the time and shooting guns everywhere. But Alien was kind of boring, what I mean?
I'm glazing over.
But I'm serious. This is serious. Seriously, though, this is like.
Well, what's interesting to me is what's accessible to people, and then why people don't dive in deeper.
Right.
Like Pearl Jam came on the radio today on Jack FM, and I was just like, I imagined a bunch of people rocking out at a Pearl Jam concert, like now, who loved it when it came out. And that was not me. And, I was like, I can't stop people from enjoying this. But it's so safe.
Yeah.
And what you seemed to be getting at was that people had to get there or into Aliens, but never went, never fully committed.
It didn't click, like it didn't flip that switch for some people. Whereas this movie you might develop an entirely different relationship to it, whether or not you are love sci-fi or not. Like what do you see when you watch Escape from New York?
What do I see?
What are the things that you stand out? We were talking before, and you go, that glider is cool because, you thought, how would you get into it?
I like the glider.
City,
I like the micro bombs.
Yeah.
That are in his neck, and that the timer went off, but that he had a countdown. That's not unique to sci-fi, really, but the glider made me imagine what it would really be like if you put. If you had to sneak into any sort of massive, uncontrolled prison area.
Because the things I remember about this movie are the graphic of the glider approach, that computerized.
Yeah.
And how when I was a kid that did look fucking cool, even though it looked like what Atari was at the time.
It made sense. Well, that's why I asked you if you had seen Firefox.
Yeah.
Which was still alive with the Russian conflict. And, I guess there was a time when tech was that simple and you could still hit a MiG in a dogfight.
Yeah.
It's really hard to look back at stuff like that. Even if they're playing cassette tapes.
They're playing cassette tapes, yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't,
Which
you're and so the secret to nuclear fusion should be in a cassette tape, where to me, that's such a risky medium, dude. I'm like, whoa, man! Hey, don't put that through the X-ray machine.
Those could just be eaten randomly, like any car that you put them in. Remember that daunting feeling that the fucking car had just eaten.
You could kind of hear it going.
Yeah, oh no.
Yeah, you had to clean those things with the cleaner.
Pull them out and get a pencil and.
Yeah. We are at an intersection, I think, where we watched ourselves go from analog to digital, and our children do not know that. They'll know other leaps, but we still have home phone numbers, right?
Right.
I had a phone number.
I have phone numbers.
You don't have a landline here, do you?
No.
No. Who would do that?
No.
You know who does that? Blue Bloods.
Lunatics.
You know why? Because your property manager needs to call people, and you don't. Yeah.
Well,
you also buy them a smartphone.
So last week, I'm driving, and my phone. All of a sudden, the Bluetooth music in my car stops, and I go, whoa! And I go to touch my phone, and it's not coming on. So I go and try to do a hard reset, and my phone is dead, just dead.
Are you in the middle of a ride?
I'm in the middle. No. And I'm near USC, which is what, 6 miles from here? Okay, and I'm on a side street. I'm not on Exposition or Figueroa or anything like that. And my phone is dead. It's not. I don't mean it's broken.
Yeah.
And I go, I have no idea how the hell to get home from here.
Really?
Yes. I mean, as soon as I went up the street and got to Figueroa, I was just like, oh yeah, all right, here.
But like right then.
But right then and there, it dawned on me how absolutely reliant. And I ended up like going to the AT&T store, and they're like, well, you got to make an insurance claim because we have insurance on the phone. And I was without my phone for 2 days. And I realized how absolutely reliant I am on my phone. I pulled up at one point, and me and Allison were switching cars and to go grab Jack, and she goes, "How do you feel free?" And I was just like, "No, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me."
I think that it's an amazing tool.
It is an amazing tool.
It's just going to get better.
And it's but we definitely even though I remember a time where that completely didn't exist. You know, you'd make plans with friends 2 weeks in advance and show up that day. And
meet me at the Meadowlands. Let's go watch Trey play.
Let's go watch Trey play, man. Get our feet wet in the in the marsh.
Literally.
And they'd just be there.
Did he get home? Your friend
Trey?
No, your friend. Did he go out to the marsh and return, or did he kind of go from point A to point B?
See, Kevin, this was me. I don't know if you know that this is...
Yes.
Yeah.
I was trying to protect your anemone.
That's all right. It's all right. Things happen.
Your anemone. I was protecting your anemone.
My anemone.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. This
No, was it point A to point B? Answer the question.
Was it point A to point?
Did you like walk all the way home somewhere?
There was looking for me, and there was. I was not the only person missing.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So it was really good acid.
It was really well. No, it wasn't acid.
Oh
no, yeah. But what were we talking about?
You mean technology?
Technology. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Phoning your buddies.
Phoning my buddies, and we just would assume that they'd be there, but like, you know, when I go back and I see a movie like this that is like,
You're still trying to do this podcast?
Yeah, I guess we should probably just wrap it up and start.
Escape from New York. Who are we tonight?
Oh my gosh,
you should finish your point though. You might say something that inspires the listeners.
You know, I might.
When you go back and watch movies like this, come on, do it, George.
I'm gonna
do it for the listeners.
Here it comes, everybody. Mm-hmm. Are you ready? Back to the podcast coming up right here.
I think it was an opinion. You were about to say when I watch movies like this. I don't think.
They blow it, man. They
blow it.
They blow the evolution of technology, and you know, this movie takes place made in 1981, supposed to take place in 1998. 97.
But yeah, whew.
Okay,
it's gonna be wild out there.
And they couldn't even data, you know, like they couldn't even get like CDs right. Whereas Star Wars, Star Trek, like those things took place way in the future, but they made pretty cool predictions about technology. In this one, they're just like, you know, guns are going to be bigger and have more stuff on them, and everyone's going to have eye patches and fucking epaulets with spikes on them.
No, well, and so there's something at Comic-Con this weekend, and we passed the Troma Films table.
Was Lloyd Kaufman there?
No, not at that time.
Okay.
But
he's almost always.
Of course, B-Dub was like, what is this? Like looking at Toxic Avenger, like Sergeant Kabuki,
that's
man.
Awesome.
And I was like, man, in your time, dude.
Yeah.
But so that's when, you know, it was like,
Classic
you know,
Nukem High.
They needed to look kind of like they were in the band Adam and the Ants, but like dirty because there's like Holocaust of nuclear proportions going on.
Filthy, but I'm still a punk.
Yeah,
you know?
like and so I've often wondered this about movies. Will we see the movies now as dated? Like if I'm 25 watching Escape from New York, is it like right on the money? Like that glider. It sounded like for you it was, because it was only what we have.
Right.
You know, you can't you can't make up what you don't have, and so there's a human who works in Hollywood who is in charge of costumes.
Right.
And some people sat and talked about how people should look, and that's as far as they could get with their human capacity.
Well,
let's
take a movie. What has come out in the last 10 years that takes place in the not too distant future? So
Children of Men?
Okay, Children of Men Yeah, but I would say that's even like that is very close future. Like that was more like 5 years.
Okay,
right? And I think Her too. Her was more like 5 years from now or something like that. Whereas,
well, what do you need, George?
Well, I mean, Escape from New York is supposed to be 20 years. It's
20 years.
20 years in the
20
future.
years.
Right? It's supposed to be like 15, 20 years in the future. So like,
Blade Runner's 2049.
Blade Runner 2049. Like those are pretty good examples, I think, of like.
Well, so is it because we know a little bit more, so someone can be like, it's clear to us that there could be an ecological aspect in the case of Blade Runner.
But look at Blade Runner. I mean, the first Blade Runner did a great job, even disregarding. Like, I mean, their technology was still like wonky 80s, but it didn't matter because the atmosphere they created was so fucking different and cool. And Blade Runner 2049, just even having to be beholden to that aesthetic, still did a great job.
Well, so that's where that's so. Older movies are not as cool because they're not as cool, but some still are. So Blade Runner does it, where Blade Runner sticks.
Yeah. Because even though we don't now have flying
cars,
it's like when the New York City helicopter comes over the two guys escaping, I'm kind of like, well, that doesn't look like it's 20 years in the future,
Not at all.
And okay, well, yeah, there's the cassette and there's the bulky tape player and everything. And like, what are we doing?
Even
here,
a briefcase locked to the wrist.
Briefcase locked on the wrist,
But so is that so in the trauma path that I was going with? I mean, so I always think of the word campy, and campy might be my poor way to describe cheaper or B movie-ish stuff. Escape from New York was not considered a B movie, but it is, right?
I mean, it kind of, because like I think do you feel like B movie and cult go a little hand in hand?
Yes.
And
right.
So I mean, I think it's fine calling it a B movie. And now that we're talking,
I was just wondering if it was a B movie or if it was a blockbuster.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think it was a blockbuster. I
think it was very popular, though.
Yeah.
From a scan I did about it when we were going to podcast about it some time ago, but I could be wrong.
Because I mean, yeah, I thought it was like a home video hit. Like a lot of people rented it, a lot of people. But I might be completely wrong, and obviously we can't.
Do you remember the movie Megaforce?
No, not off the top of my head.
It was like a army kind of motorcycle riding. They had motorcycles with machine guns in it, and like black and brown, like kind of cool plating and covering on like dune buggies.
No,
and yeah, see, I'm wondering like something about like it's like kind of like, well, let's just say there was headbands and maybe feathers.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? And it gets to the again, we've talked about why do alien diplomats appear in turbans or whatever it might be, right? So all your answers being delivered
clearly
by who are we tonight?
We are we're brawny dude dodging subway freaks.
Subway freaks. There's got to be subway freaks because there was a Mega Man.
Because there's
And so it's something about like that, like so like even so the subway freaks kind of look like they're in Broadway.
Yeah. Like, they're like, hey, maybe we're a gang and maybe we're gonna synchronize dance.
Like,
I don't know.
Like the hunching and the running, and that's what it must have been so fun and cool. I mean, we sit here decades later and just be like, I wonder why they didn't think of that. But
you know what? Also, I mean, like one thing that has to be stated, like John Carpenter, he has made really good movies, kind of across a bunch of different genres, which is pretty cool. Like, I mean, he's Halloween is probably one of my favorite horror movies. Yeah. And did you ever see Assault on Precinct 13?
No, I remember I heard you speak about it recently. Yeah.
It's fantastic, man, and like super tense, and just a really cool. It's not even an action movie. I mean, it's more of a thriller, just because of the nature of it. I mean, it's three people stuck in a police precinct while like a couple different gangs try and get inside, you know. And this movie too, like he just kind of kept taking chances at a time when I think there was new things constantly being established, you know, like there were new, you know, before tropes were tropes, there were things like Escape from New York, and that in and of itself, like this movie is such an accomplishment because, you know, there was no Jaws before there was Jaws. There was no post-apocalyptic New York before there was Escape from New York.
Yeah, I always think about that. Like Black Sabbath didn't like listen to Black Sabbath and come up with riffs.
Right, exactly.
They were like,
amazing, yeah.
let's play music, and then like everyone scaffolds off it or stands on the shoulders
so
of
it's
it.
like some people are just like they're into some like a different level of creativity, and then they do it, and then all of a sudden that becomes, you know, a new paradigm, you know, and then everybody's like, oh, now we can do it that way. I didn't know that.
I think Adam would hug you right now.
Oh yeah, he would.
Yeah, it's his right there.
God
Wonder
rest
how
his
been.
soul,
God
man.
rest his soul. But welcome his clone
Please,
to Earth. Yeah.
Adam.
I
believe it's spelled Adom.
Yeah.
And I hope his clone is taking good care of his wife and children. We should
Probably better
than
Yeah,
Adam
man.
was.
You can get, you get add
You can-
additions
you
there.
can, man.
You can
know,
really,
like,
yeah.
he probably doesn't have to wear glasses anymore.
Yeah, exactly, man.
If you have seen the Adam clone, and you know where he's at right now, give him our email address.
Yeah, and let him know if he ever sold those Marlboros out past the asteroid belt.
Nah, that was a tough one. We
Those
sent them
Mars
to him
miners.
regularly.
I'm pretty sure that revolution we heard about up there was by him.
I hope it was successful.
Yeah.
You know?
Those guys are ornery.
Been a long
Nothing
time.
like a bar fight up in one of those canyons up there,
I
man.
believe that's where the Boobons ended up
The
migrating.
Boobons.
Yeah.
The Boobons.
The few remaining Boobons who escaped the plague. We'll get them next time, New York. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, I mean, you know, just New York City in general. It's just like I mean, like I said before, I love New York City, and I'm a big fan of anything that's like, yes, we take place in New York, and here it is, and especially that like kind of dank pit that New York was back then. So I mean, you know, it's a fun flick. I'm glad we didn't go into like kind of an ad nauseum reiteration of the plot, you know, because it is what it is, man.
What are you supposed to do with that?
You know,
it's cool seeing the young Harry Dean. Made me want to watch Repo Man.
yeah, I haven't seen Repo Man in a while.
Yep.
Ordinary fucking people.
Yeah. Just burning
Yeah,
trash.
burning trash.
Burning shit you've taken people's cars back and you're burning the stuff. It's always a cool idea, man. So now what, George?
I don't know, man. Halloween.
Is this it?
Halloween tomorrow.
Yeah. So you haven't been reading or anything like that?
Nope.
I have moved on to 21 Suggestions for the 21st Century,
Whoa.
which is Yuval Harari's third book, where he takes the ideas that began in Sapiens, moved on to Homo Deus, and sort of applies
Oh man. So you're
them.
in the third. So now 21 suggestions for the 21st century.
Yeah.
And this is set up as like a what we should be doing. As
He's like, dude, I've talked to so many people going and talking about these last two books that it's been helping me test my theories. Here are the ideas I have after having my feet put to the fire and by collaborating with thinkers.
How
out
much?
there.
How much is environmental?
There's technological disruption and environmental disaster will be the reasons that we need to globally unify, and our current state of ideology, be it nationalism or religion, will maybe be what prevents us from getting together in time so that we aren't making microchips for our AI masters, or waiting in water lines.
All right, so
slitting each other's throats.
like I wanna just. It's worth pointing out. This is not a sci-fi novel that Kevin is reading. Like this is a guy who's done a crazy amount of research and
Oxford PhD in medieval history, by the way.
And and that's an amazing idea that like someone is actually postulating that we may find ourselves making microchips for our AI masters.
So the predictions by Ray Kurzweil in The Age of Spiritual Machines, where he takes us all the way through 2099, most of his are right. And it's clear that there is a common understanding that the futurists have about the situations we are quickly approaching. Like, what do we teach our children right now that won't be obsolete when automation replaces many of the things?
Yeah.
Or why would a kid need to know math?
Right.
If math becomes just something that's available for us to know.
Yeah, when it's just
if we're plugged
the ear, if we're plugged in, you just like...
And...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holding on to the old idea that like penmanship is still an important thing to know.
He reframed. I mean, the school system is basically based on the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
Most people, including myself, say that with a degree of cynicism. Like, what are you going to bring now, school district? Since you're working a mall that prepares us to be cogs, but even if you're looking pretty open-mindedly,
you'll find Kevin at a Tuesday night PTA meeting saying exactly that.
Yeah. Where's unschooling in the curriculum, bitch? We're in school. It's going to be hard to do. Think about it.
You want my son to be a machine?
Yeah. But
which is it's not wrong. That's an amazing. I mean, I love that in the past couple weeks it's come out that we are a lot closer to impending environmental doom than like has ever been stated before. And it's not like, this is not a generational thing. This is like, this is next for like 40 years.
Well, read The Wind-Up Girl.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a book. That is a fictional spin on it. And Blue Remembered Earth by Alistair Reynolds. Everything's tying together. Blue Remembered Earth is one of the most tied to a 40 years in the future Earth thing that Alistair Reynolds has written. And it imagine us there with moon colonies, with Mars colonies, with some hyperdrive stuff. But in our recent history, we've overcome the ecological disasters. And it's cool to see how he imagined we got over it. To take it all back home, there were walls built, smart walls built to fight rising tides to keep some areas dry. But all good stuff.
So that's ending this on a positive note.
Yeah.
There, people. We just need to build the walls to stop the tides. And
keep your head up.
Keep your head up,
Unless the machine says keep your head down and continue making chips.
Then do it, or you will probably end up in the pit again.
Yeah. Or just slabbed and given a beautiful dream to have while they harvest your hemoglobin.
And that's the best we could possibly hope for.
Yeah.
Will the rich still be human though? Like, would they, would AI have a set of human masters that are the elite?
Well,
or what AI?
William Gibson in the Sprawl trilogy. I mean, the Tessier ash pools, the people in the, it's like a floating cylinder up there, and I forget what that's called, the hub or something. But yeah, the rich are an AI presence. Now, following up in the next book, there's an AI that's individuated, and it's making art that's being sold for thousands and thousands of dollars back on Earth.
But
he's just going nuts in an abandoned satellite, making art with debris.
That's great.
Yeah. Big, lot of stuff going on here in the tail end, folks.
We got
all
a whole
because
lot
of that
here, people.
John Carpenter movie.
John, my dad. Mm-hmm. And all right, so everybody, enjoy your Halloween. Have a happy Halloween. Stay safe.
Watch out for the razor blades and the apples. By the way, if someone just gives you a fucking apple, be like, it's the 21st century.
Yeah. How about giving me...
fuck you, man.
I'll give me a candy bar that's wrapped.
Yeah, you know what? Don't give me an apple.
Yeah. But if someone does hand you just a razor blade, feel free to put that in your mouth. mouth.
Thank them.
Because it's probably edible.
Probably candy blade.
They're just kidding around.
Candy blade. Candy blade. It's like fake cigarettes and candy blades.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Remember fake cigarettes?
They taste wonderful.
They're so good.
That chalky awesomeness.
Mm-hmm. You can puff, you can blow.
They kind of cake into your teeth.
They do like a little puff of smoke.
Are you talking about the ones that turn into gum or the ones that are hard?
Well, there are two. Both of them did like little puffs.
Right.
Because you had the ones that like were hard candy.
Yes.
And they had a little piece of red at the end as though it were
Can
a
you
lit
still
cigarette.
buy candy cigarettes?
I don't believe so. I think you probably could at like probably Galco's. I'm willing to bet you could find. Like Galco's is a great soda pop shop in Highland Park, California, and they have old school candy there. Mm-hmm. But or Big League Chew. I'm surprised you could still buy Big League Chew because it comes in essentially a tobacco pouch.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It is posing as shredded tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Love me some Big League Chew. Gonna go get some right now.
Yeah.
So
gonna steal some.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. We'll break into Galco's. I'm gonna put an eye patch on, some epileps, safety pin through the ear, put some grease paint on, and fuck this place.
Fuck capitalism.
Yeah, escape from
right, man?
Fucking escape from wherever. Escape from Tustin.
Fuck capitalism. Let me just check my cell phone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Before I go out there.
I think the pizzas are here.
The 15 of them. Oh, well, let me get some money.
Good deal.
All right. Well, good night, nurse.
Good night, nurse.